Good morning or good evening, depending upon whichever place you are residing in. Recently, I've been getting questions on how should we meditate and if it involves for a long duration. Let's say I want to meditate for 16 hours. Now, how this can be accomplished? Now, is this a sitting meditation like in the Vipassana Research Institute, wherein every hour you relax for 5 minutes and again look at the sensations that are appearing on the body and keep on watching them instead of reacting to it? And that's a very good meditation technique which is available for us. But what if I want to go through the Sutta way? Instead of going through the meditation retreats, can I do something on my own? Can I do something at my home? Instead of heading to a retreat for 20 days or 30 days or 100 days, and I finish the retreat and come back, then again I need to head to the retreat because the environment that has been prepared is so conducive that when I come back from the retreat and after a few days, due to association with the people, association with a different kind of environment, sometimes I need to break the precepts. Whereas if I am on to the retreat, whichever that is, the precepts are not broken because there is nothing to talk. And obviously that is a conditioned environment. And Nibbana is something which is unconditioned. So then the question comes, how do we get it? What we should do? So I am considering, how do we enhance the meditation techniques we have got from various tradition? Can be Thai tradition, can be Sri Lankan tradition, can be Burmese tradition, can be Indian tradition, or any other traditions which have been introduced. Should I throw it out and start afresh? And it's very painful to do so. And that too, if I'm working on that tradition for last, say, 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, or say even 2-3 years, or even 1 year, I have been getting benefits, so it becomes difficult for me to break that. So then, how do I enhance? So this is how you can do. Let's take Anapanasati. And there is a sutta in the Digha Nikaya and also in the Majjhima Nikaya. So if I take the Majjhima Nikaya, it is MN 62. I have put it in the description. You can go through it. It's a very interesting sutta which can be done for the whole day in whatever postures we are in. It doesn't matter. I don't have to do the formal sitting meditation. I can do it, but that's not the requirement. Or that's not the only requirement. Let's put it that way. Now, how do we do it? In that, this is a discussion between Buddha and his son Rahula. Now, what I need to do is, I need to know that this body which I call as mine, whether it was in the past or in the future or in the present, does not belong to me. Why? Because I am eating food, and because of the food this body is growing. So my object of meditation should be the food, what I am giving, which is making the body grow. It's not I am growing, it's the body which is growing. So if I were to eat more, it stores the fat. So the body becomes fat and bulky. If I eat less, then the body becomes lean. It's not that I have become lean. So first thing I can notice is that it's not I am becoming fat or lean, it is the body which is becoming fat or lean. So I need to look at that. So the rupa, the form, I can now sit in a comfortable posture, closing the eyes, can see all forms. I can take the human form and see that everybody's body is indeed growing, not because they want to grow it that way. It is growing because the food is there. If the food is taken more, the body becomes bulky. So this I can contemplate. Now I can use the breath meditation also, that enhances even more. Let us say I have had many retreats in Vipassana Research Institute of Siaji Ubakin, who taught to S.N. Goenka, and that's the best method available. Actually, I can just enhance this, of seeing that for myself, apart from the sensations, I can see that the food, when given, will increase the body size. If the food is not given, will decrease the body size. So there's no imagination over there. Now what happens when I do this? I'm learning to watch it in 11 ways. 1, the past. 2, the future. 3, the present. The internal, external, gross and subtle, superior, inferior, near and far. So these are the 11 things what I can use for the rupa, the form. Again, the form is coming up due to the food. And there are many suttas in the Sanyukta Nikaya which explains what is rupa, how the rupa is formed, and how the rupa goes away. How it arises and how it passes away. There are many suttas. So coming to this Maharahulovada Sutta, MN 62, I can take these 11 things and observe using the breath. So I can do the sitting meditation, and then I can stand, I can walk, but keeping the meditation object as is condition. Then what happens? I can observe the feelings directly, because the rupa is connected to the feeling, Vedana. And when we say Vedana, there are 6 Vedana. There is not one single Vedana. So it has something to do with eye, connection, Chakku Sampassaja Vedana. So we can see that the feeling comes due to contact. If there were no contact, there is no feeling. So contact is a condition for feeling. And for the craving, feeling is the condition. Like that. So we can see the Paticca Samutpada, dependent origination. Now I can observe the feeling like an observing the rupa in 11 ways. So the Vedana also I can look it as past, future, present, internal, external, gross and subtle, superior or inferior, near or far. So I can do that. Now, when I do it, it gets connected to the perceptions. And there are 6 perceptions. The sight and sound and taste and touch and smell and thoughts are perceivable objects. So depending upon the phassa, contact, the feeling arises, and based upon the feeling, the perception takes over. Sometimes perception creates a particular feeling, and sometimes a particular feeling creates a particular perception. So they both are interlinked. It's like one feeding the other. Just like a snake, 2 snakes, you just caught up its tail, one trying to swallow the other creates a circle, or like a whirlpool. So now I can see, based upon the rupa, the feeling and the perception takes a shape. Now I can see the preparation. Everything is preparations or sankhara. I need to prepare. Even this talk, what I'm giving, is a prepared one. I'm preparing to talk. So there is a feeling, that is the feeling of lightedness. My heart seems to be really pleased on Dhamma. So the perception I'm having is on Dhamma. So the preparation is on Dhamma. So it can become a punyabhi sankhara. The preparation which are the one which lean towards good deeds. And based upon that, the experience I'm getting, and that's the Vijnana, the experience provider. Again, there are 6 Vinyas for each kind of or each type of senses. So now this one, if I were to do it properly, I can spend hours together in walking, in seeing, in hearing, in tasting, in touching, in smelling, in thinking. Helps me to stay for a long period of time on this one object, that is Rupa. It then takes me on to the Vedana, feeling, Sanya, perception, Sankhara, preparation, Vijnana, consciousness. So the 6 senses become conscious of what is coming. So that is where the experience is coming, of seeing and tasting and touching and smelling and hearing and all that. So now what I can do is, I can do the breath meditation and enhance it like this way. And in fact, Rahula goes back to Buddha saying that Sariputta, Venerable Sariputta informed me to do mindfulness of breathing, and how should I do it? And Buddha gives a complete explanation on how you should do it. First he puts the dhatus, called as elements in English, but it's a quality of the element rather than the element itself. So he explains what you should investigate, how the Patavi Dhatu is, or how the Apo Dhatu is, like that. It's a beautiful sutta which helps. Then what else I need to do? Well, Buddha says, now that you've understood this 5 dhatus, earth, water, fire or heat, air or wind, space, he says, become like that. You become like earth. People can spit, people can urinate, people can do whatever they want, but earth is not disturbed. Same thing with water, same thing with fire, same thing with space and air. So there is no disturbance in the mind. When you don't have any disturbance in the mind, it becomes relatively easy. Now I can see that the I, whatever I call as I, is no longer there. Why? Because I've given that up. So what did I change? I am using the breath meditation, which I have learned in the Burmese tradition, but I am enhancing it using the Sutta. It gives me a different experience altogether, because that is what it's supposed to give me. Rather than just looking at the sensation, now I am going beyond the sensations, which makes more sense because it can be verified from the Sutta directly. And I can verify my experience and can know that whether I am a Sotapanna or a Sakadagami or an Anagami or even an Arhat. Because that Sutta, MN62, can take me to Arhat if I practice it diligently. So what if I can do that for 7 days? Excellent. Now, what he also says, apart from these 5 become like that, he says you meditate not only like this dhatu or the qualities, you meditate on love, metta, because you're expanding, your mind is expanding, and hence any ill will which is there, which is called vyapada in Pali, the ill will, is completely removed. Then you meditate on compassion, karuna, and the cruelty will be given up. Vihesa is having a painful thought about someone. So the cruel indicator is gone. Then he says, meditate on rejoicing or joy. And it's called mudita in Pali. And if you do that, any kind of discontentment, that is, I didn't achieve this, I should have done that, and that is gone because I am that person. Let's say I see an arhat. Or let's say somebody is doing well in his work, is earning a lot of money. That's fair. What's the difference between me and him? We both are the same. I'm so happy about his progress. Even if he's an anagami or an arhat, and I am wanting to be an arhat myself, it's okay. At least he has escaped the suffering. Wow, such a nice thing. So if I keep on contemplating on that, in the center of my heart, there is such an expansion. That's mudita. Then he says, meditate on equanimity. If I do that, patigha, repulsion, is removed. Then I need to meditate on ugliness, asubha. If I do that, raga, coloring of the consciousness, which becomes a cause for attachment through lust, is gone. Then he says, meditate on anicca. Can be called as impermanence, can be called as not as per one's wish. However we would like to put it, that's okay. But that's what it is. Then he says, develop mindfulness of breathing. How? Now, after doing all of this, you need to sit and watch the breath. So what did we do with this is that we have enhanced from what we have learned either in the Thai tradition or in the Burmese tradition or in the Sri Lankan tradition or whatever tradition we are coming from. And now we have done this, the dhatu we have understood properly. So after a few hours of doing this, I can now sit in one place and the mind is stable. It has no attachment to anything. Now I can watch the breath. The in-breath and the out-breath. And the kaya sankhara, which is in and out breath, is stopped. That's the first milestone what I reach. Pasambhayankaya sankharan asasi sameti sikkati Pasam bhayankaya sankharan pasasi samiti sikkati. This kaya sankhara is asapassa, in breath, out breath. He learns how to calm down the in and the out breath. And that's a practice. How? When he sees through the dhatu, the quality of the elements, and like what he has explained to Rahula, in becoming like earth, like water, like fire, like air and space, and the four Brahma Viharas, that is Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekha, followed by Anicca, Asubha. That tremendously helps. So 5 qualities plus 4 Brahma Viharas plus Anicca and Asubha. That's a package. Now if I want, I can even go to DN22, Mahasatipatthana Sutta, and bring in the other 3, Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, Dhammanupassana. It becomes very easy now because the mind is perfectly relaxed. So my Anapana Sati, the Sati is established. So when the Sati is established, the Samadhi, the Virya, Shraddha, Panya, all the other 4 of them out of the 5 indriyas gets developed. And that becomes Bala, strength, which helps me to get into Satta Bhujanga. Bhujanga means literally part of Bhuj, awakening. Factors leading to awakening. Sati Sambhojjhanga, Dhamma Vichaya Sambhojjhanga, like that. So I don't have to study, it automatically happens. So I can verify my progress from the 37 factors of awakening. And every time I finish the 37 factors, it proves that I have completed the Sotapanna, then I have completed the Sakadagami, now I completed the Anagami, now I am going towards Arhat Palasamapatti. Then he says, Chitta Sankhara Pati Samvedi Asasisameti Sikkati. Before that, what happens? Before I come to the Chitta Anupassana, what we are talking about, in the same Sutta, that is MN 62, he talks about this. Before that, what happens? Piti and Sukha. So in the in-breath and the out-breath, you will find the piti and sukha. Joy and perfect happiness, sukha. And that leads on to the Chitta Anupassana, Chitta Patisamvedi, Samvedana. This is also there in the Vipassana of Goenka. Sensation. Now we are on the sensation of the mind. And mind has 2 sensations. One, the feeling by itself, which is caused due to the 6 senses, and the perception. So now it is calming the 6 senses with the 6 sense objects. Now that once I experience, pamoda happens. Pamoda means gladdening, glad. I'm so glad. So the gladdening happens, and that leads to samadhi. And when I get into samadhi, the vimocha, liberation of the mind, happens. The mind is freed from conditions. Now here, I don't require any further conditioning. There's nothing to condition. That means I don't have to go to retreat. I can do it sitting wherever I am. This is a beautiful experience. So I can sit at my home or in a monastery or in a empty room or wherever it is. Even at the airport, even while walking, I can maintain that. Then aniccanupassana happens, arising and passing of everything. With that, the viraga happens, dispassion. Then nirodha happens. Then the final patinisagga happens. Patinisaggo, tanhakhayo, virago, nirodho, nibbana. And this is how anapanasati is completely established. And this is what Buddha explains to the Rahula. So what's the difference between the meditation I have learned in Vipassana Research Institute versus the Buddha teaching in the Sutta? Slight difference, that's it. It's more of an enhancement rather than changing anything there. In this way, what I have learned in any Burmese tradition, can be Pa-Auk tradition, can be Ubakin or Lady Sayadaw techniques, or any other technique I've learned. I don't have to throw it. I don't have to get displeased by it. I don't have to reject it. Instead, I can use the same one. That's because it's a tool. There's nothing wrong with the tools. Thing is that it has to be customized. It has to be modified. Because we already learnt it. We have completely learnt it. So we need to customize it more. To go through the Sutta route. Because what's there in the Sutta can be verified, can be experienced, can be validated. So then there's no confusion in my mind on what is the state I have reached. It becomes quite extensive experience. And I can do this for 14 hours, 16 hours. And even I can do it in the night while sleeping. Just like Buddha says that you reduce your sleep, keep on watching it. And I can do this. The same method what he taught to Rahula. I can do it for 7 days or 14 days or 21 days. And I can see the benefit accruing out of it. And you can validate yourself. There's no thing like I go and ask someone. I can self-validate it. And who is a validator? Who is the person who is approving it? The Sutta. Because that's what I am supposed to experience. Whatever is there in the Sutta should be experienced. So that gives me tremendous confidence. And it creates an independent thing, independent way of working rather than dependent. I don't have to run to the retreat every now and then. And the moment I run into the retreat, the mind is disturbed or the mind is fluttering, because without going to retreat, I cannot get into it. And I need to focus on the teachers. Sometimes I get very good teachers, sometimes I don't get that kind of teacher. Now that mind is again restless. It creates more hindrances. So it's better that I do it through the sutta directly. That doesn't mean that I shouldn't be going there at all. No, that is another extreme. But I don't have to become dependent on that, because already it is conditioned, sankata. There's no need to further condition it, which become double sankata now. One conditioned by myself, another conditioned by the retreat. So our objective is to try out for 7 days and you would get the result. But you have to follow exactly what is there in the sutta. One another factor. The satish can only work if the sila is good. It's not a formality to have the sila. It is rather imperative that we have established sila. 5 or 8 doesn't matter, but whatever we have shouldn't be breaking it. And that is the reason in VRI, on the first day when we take the precepts, you are not supposed to talk. And when you don't talk, you don't generally break the sila. And because of that, the experience is pretty good. But when you come out of the retreat and after a few days, the sila is broken. And when we break the sila, the experience starts to fade away. It doesn't come as much as I want. So then I have to run to the center. Or any other place. Can be Sri Lanka, can be India, can be Myanmar, or can be Thai, or wherever it is. I need to run back to that place, because it gives that kind of environment. Nibbana is unconditioned, whereas we are only conditioning more and more. In a different way, but still it is conditioned. The moment it is conditioned, it loses that very thing what we want it. Only when we uncondition it, we can experience. So I can use the Digha Nikaya 22, which is Mahasatipatthana Sutta. It's a big one. Instead, I can go to the Maharahulovada Sutta, MN 62, and exactly follow what Buddha says to his son. And I have put it in the description section. You can look at it. And you can practice. And in fact, I had published on the retreat. We can do an online retreat and you can see the benefit coming to you. Exactly the same way as is indicated in Sutta. And we can try it out. Everything is trying it out. So when we try, we get it. So first we need to try. We need to get through the sutta. There might be some confusion on the sutta because I have never read it that way. So we can discuss, and when we discuss, it becomes fairly easy. So we can do a 7-day retreat, or a 14-day retreat, or a 21-day retreat. And you can see the effect for yourself. It works, and it works all the time. But the danger is that if my sila is broken, then this will not work. So first and foremost, I need to fix that morality, not as just a formality, not just, okay, I'm not going to kill any living beings, and I'm 100% sure that today I will not be killing any living beings. So that means so it becomes so easy, but it's not that easy. There are so many things that needs to be done. So there is a process to establish the sila, morality. And once we establish the sila, like in the VRI, when the sila is set up and you stop talking on day one of the program and start watching what is happening under your nostrils, and you're not talking to anyone, you're closing your eyes and just watching whatever happens, your anapanasati starts to work, and you can only ask your teachers, whoever is there, if you have any questions, but you cannot talk to anyone, any participant there. So that's a condition, which is good, it's required. But now that we have learned that art, we can now graduate into the sutta. So that is what I suggest to do, and we can do it together. If you are interested, you can write to me, and then we can set up a time and we do it and cross-check every few hours on how we are doing. You do on your own, I do on my own, and we then meet up after a few hours to discuss. And again we do, and again we see how things are. So it's like an experiment, like a scientific experiment, to see whether it's working or not working. If it is not working, why it is not working? If it is working anyway, that's how it should work. So we can remove the obstacles. There are 5 obstacles, and that has to be removed. And once we remove that obstacles, it becomes literally a cakewalk. That means we have enhanced the meditation techniques, whatever we have learned through various traditions, which are very good. Even I can take Zen, which is part of Mahayana, and transform this through the Sutta. There are wonderful techniques. There are close to 40 techniques in Buddha Dhamma. And watching the sensation on the body is one of that technique, and the most easiest technique to do it, and that is very good one. If I am a person who is starting today, nothing can beat the Vipassana style of Siaji Ubakin, which is popularized by S.N. Goenka. So it's the best thing that could happen for this world. And after I have mastered it, I move to the Sutta, because I am ready for now to take the Sutta. It's like I learn how to drive the car and get my driving license, and now I am ready to take on the journey on the road, and anybody can be coming there. It's no longer conditioned. So now I require the Sutta to go on to that journey, because I don't know whom I'm going to encounter with. So for that I need this. Hope this short clarification, and also on how should I meditate for long hours, during sitting, standing, eating, defacing, bathing, wearing dress, etc., etc., how you can do it. You can use the current technique plus the Buddha teaching through the Sutta, this one especially. If you were to practice, you will learn the 5 aggregates. You will also learn how the elements are, or the dhatu, or the quality of these elements are. And then the 4 Brahma Viharas, followed by Anicca and Asubha. And then the Anapanasati. And to my knowledge and to my experience, it has worked all the time. So I have no doubt that why it should not work for anyone else. It's the fastest way because we have already learned how to meditate. So we have gone to the class and we have learned it. We have gone to the retreat, we have learned it. Now we are enhancing it. It's a beautiful thing that can happen to us. I would look forward to hear from you, and I'm sharing the link where I've spoken about what is to be required for the retreat. And if you're interested in the retreat, do let me know, and we can have the retreat. May the triple gems be with you always, and may you attain Nibbana, which is the only happiness. Let's end the suffering of this samsara, which is nothing but repetition all the time. Namo Buddhaya.